game week, and we have Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, ready to go and talk about the opener coming up Saturday against Fresno State. And it's great to see him. There he is on the screen and on your podcast. Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine outside linebacker, joining us here on the Maize and Blue Review. Scar, you're ready for the opener on Saturday?
I'm just like the players, man. They've been in camp for a month. We're tired, man. Tired of hitting and beat me and you talking about the same BS. Let's get some Fresno going. Let's take a look at Fresno. But it's game week, Danny. I remember as a freshman, I didn't make the travel team the first game, and all the excitement though. Just as a regular student, you see campuses just Friday night before the game, all the excitement, and it's something that's real, man. As a student on campus for that first home game. So anybody that thinks that this team, it's Fresno, they're not, believe me, they will be a fired up, pumped up, 110,000 televised game. We will be fired up. Everybody's playing for, you put the film on of this team, and people are going to say they got some players, man. So there's going to be a lot of excitement. We'll get into game week a little more, but I'm fired up.
It was such a great offseason with Michigan being the defending champs. I could understand if the people were like, hey, I'm just relishing this and I don't need the start of the season. So many times people are waiting and, talking about, so long. But when you win, I think it goes fast, for me anyways, thinking about it like that, Michigan being the defending champs. And then, this year, college football, the 12-team playoff is great. I just think back when they didn't even have the BCS and they used to vote, and people would be like, I like it. I like that. You can have the writers and coaches, and it just gives you so much conversation. And like, how about we get some games, some more interesting games? And they had 2, now they 4. Now they have 12. I think it's great. I'm really excited about it. I think the end of the season, if there is any, trade-off of some games early in the season that you feel like not everything in the world is at stake, well, you will have that at the end. And I've always been willing to trade a little bit of that. I think it's great that they have gone this way. I'm really excited about the college football playoff.
Yeah, a lot of games, Danny. Could be 17 games. You know my thoughts on it. It's a 12 game regular season championship game, and it can be, you can play up to 17. So it's a long season, and it's you better have a lot of depth. You better have a lot of good players and a lot of depth if you're going to make a run.
I'm glad the guys are getting paid now. So, before you'd be like, man, how many games are you going to put these student athletes through? Now, at least they're getting compensated somewhat.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, Danny, game week, just real quick, this players know now who the starters are because the coaches can't be playing around anymore. Your game week. You start to go through things. Your starters are identified. You get in that routine. The players are, and Danny, the things that's going to happen in this football game. And I've been in all these roles. I've been that freshman who wasn't sniffing and just ran out for the first time under the, through the tunnel and hit the banner. I've been that guy, and that's easy. Just make it through the week and go through warm-ups. That's easy. Okay. But there's going to be guys that are going to be, backups. They're going to make their first appearance in this game on the special teams. These guys really some of them haven't really played, and they're going to be on special teams and that was my first crack is, being on the punt team, being on the kickoff team, punt return. And we got to be good there. And this special team coach, he's going to have some guys. So I'm looking at that. I want to look at these players, these young guys are going to put in there. And then there's going to be guys like Eno Eto, Pierce. These guys were 50-0 mop-up time guys. Now they're going to be rotating guys. They're going to be in there, they put a drive together. They're going to be in there after 5, 6, 8 plays. You're going to see them in the game early. So that's a different role that I understand being that backup guy. And then now the starters, you're going to have, guys are going to make their first starts, and especially on offense, our, quarterback, these guys. So that's a whole different mindset, getting that routine down, getting the stress. My first start, I was terrible didn't know how to deal with, wasn't right mentally, dealing with the stress of the situation. Second game, much better. And you'll that's why I like it that we got Ferris before Fresno before Texas. But, and again, this team, you look at the film, you put this team on, Danny, there ain't no joke, especially for our defense. You put this quarterback we're going to face, he's going to be one of the top, I'm going to say he might be one of the top 5 quarterbacks we face all year. He's good. He's accurate. He's athletic. He's a returning all Mountain West guy, whatever the hell that league is. So he ain't no stiff. This, I forget his name. We'll get into him. Keen or something. So
I'm going to ask you about the Michigan quarterbacks in a second, but I've got 2 things that I want to tell everyone. One is that with the dawn of a new season coming up on Saturday, you wanting all the information you can possibly get and enjoy, you'll want to join up the Maize and Blue Review. Everything you want to know about the defending champs and the opener and leading up to the game, during the game, after the game, all of that, go to michigan.rivals.com to get that done. Before I ask you about the quarterbacks, I wanted to go to the documentary, the Connor Stalions documentary that debuted yesterday or the day before. Most people have watched that. I watched it myself, and it comes down to a nutshell of this for me, Scar, and everyone watching. Connor Stalions says he exploited the system. That was what he had to say. Meanwhile, the NCAA says paying people to video record opponents is advanced scouting in person. And Michigan fans, they are looking at the letter of the law, and they're saying, yeah, not really, because these people are not on the staff. And the NCAA saying, well, you gave them tickets, so technically they are scouts. And that seems to be the sticking point to all of that. So however you feel about it, you feel like, giving the people the tickets, and that he was hacked in. So the NCAA was able to see it all. Now we just wait to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, Denny, I'm going to let you speak on that. I haven't seen it yet. I'm fired up for Sharon Moore making his first run out of that tunnel as the leader, and all these guys getting ready to play. So that's that. And, you got guys like Gio going to make his first start at guard, and, center. We don't know who our center is going to be. We've heard a lot of different names. And so these guys are going to make first starts, man. Whoever our center is going to be a very first time starting a football game in front of at Michigan Stadium. And we've heard all different things at tackle. So, this young kid, what is it, Lint? What's Link? And Denny, I was in that position as a coach. It's like, okay, you've got the senior and you've got the sophomore, and they're similar. They're pretty similar in talent. Which way do you go? You got the senior, maybe a little more experience, but then again, you go with the young guy. You got him he'd be a 3-year starter now. So there's more room for improvement if you go with the young guy. So those are difficult decisions. I understand making those decisions.
All right, Scar, I thought that Sharon Moore should have made a decision on Monday about all of who was going to start. But do you think that he will rotate the center in the first half and the guard? Because it looks like he's going to do that at quarterback, and I'll hold off for the quarterback. But do you think he's going to be doing any kind of rotation, or is he going to pick one of those guys now that he's let it spill into game week, the competition at center and right tackle?
I rotated offensive linemen. When Jerry played, Jerry was a rotating guy early on in his career. Some guys have no problem with it. Guards, tackles. It depends on the coach. Sharon has been not that guy when he was the offensive line coach. But, I'm interested to see, is there going to be any change in the play calling with Sharon as the leader? Obviously he has a whole different team. We'll just get a feel for that. But, Denny, if I'm going to put my coaching hat on, if I was the coach at Michigan, here's what I would want from this game. I would want a real tough, contested battle for the first half. That, we move the ball, we have success, but they're no joke football team that we have to battle, that our quarterbacks are under stress. I want our quarterbacks to be under stress a little bit. I want them challenged. I like to see our football team I'm just talking about the kind of game I would like to see as a former coach. Okay. Then the second half, I'd like to see our depth and our run game get going so we can really play about 35, 40 guys on offense, get two quarterbacks meaningful reps. So in case one of them gets, I don't know which way they're going to go, but if one of them gets banged up against Texas, I'd like the other guy to have reps because they're both going to get their first meaningful reps, hopefully in this game. But that's how I would like to see this game go then, where we take off in the second, the fourth quarter and we put the hammer down. We get it, we're able to run the ball and, like a 35, 33 to 7 or 6 type of deal, but a tight. I would like to see some our quarterbacks challenged a little bit so they go through some stress. Our whole football team. I'd like to see our whole football team get stressed a little bit, to be honest with you.
Well, if whoever's out there at quarterback doesn't move the ball down the field, there's going to be a lot of stress right off the bat. Give me an idea what the conversation's like and how you would go about rotating the QB, Scar. I mean, I don't know how much you've thought about a plan. I know it's not going to be willy-nilly. They're not going to be flipping coins. Let's put them in. I don't think that maybe you played a little bit by ear about how the game's going. But what do you think the conversation's like?
If I'm Sharon Moore and I've decided that Alex Orji is the way I'm going to go, I'm not putting Davis Warren in the game until we're really up and running. Put him in there, when the game is in hand.
Yeah. Okay.
That's let's okay. If they think Davis Warren is the way to go, then I'm going to have an Orji package. Okay, I'm going to always have an Orji package if they feel Davis Warren is the way to go. I don't know which way they're going, but if I feel no need to put Davis Warren in the game in the heat of battle, if Orji's the guy. But again, I said this, the downside of Alex Orji, and I think our coaches are going to be smarter though. They're not going to run, are they going to run them like they did last year? I got to believe they're not. It's the inside power stuff, Danny, where you get hits. We got to treat them, you got to treat them more like JJ. You run the stuff where you get out of bounds. But all that inside run stuff, quarterback belly, quarterback power inside the tackles that we ran with him last year, those are the plays where he'll get some hits. So that's my thing on quarterback, Danny. No, I'm not looking to rotate Davis Warren in if Alex Orji is the starter in their eyes. But I do want an Orji package if they go with Davis Warren.
That's understood. Orji would be so fabulous. And Sharon Moore even mentioned Chris Leak and Tim Tebow when the Gators won the national championship, and Leak was the starter, and he was the thrower, and he was the QB. But when they got down near the goal line, they brought in Tebow, and he was doing jump passes and he was bowling guys over. That would be the Orji would be Tebow. I like that as well. So they went into game week splitting reps and still undecided who the starter was going to be. What if they do want to rotate these quarterbacks? What would the plan look like in your mind then? Not waiting until the. Oh man,
I'm not, Denny. I've never been a believer in 50-50 every other series guy. I've never done that as a coach. I told I like to. I just don't. Anyway, what their plan is, I think based on what Sharon has done as an offensive coordinator, you're just not going to see that. I don't think he's going to. Like I said, if Alex Orji is the guy, I don't think you're going to see Davis Warren until that game is in hand. Which is I don't have a problem with that. But again, that's just how I think he's going to go. So you seem to think there's going to be a straight up rotation with those two guys?
Well, yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying that have been watching this team throughout this competition. And then Sharon Moore comes on the day that he has to make the announcement and tell everybody what's going to happen. And he doesn't want to make any announcement. He says they're still competing. That to me sounds like that it's too close to call and that he's going to want to play both of these, which I'm against. I don't know. I think everybody's against it, but he talked about it working, maybe he's being coy. Dragging it in Tell me this, Scar, how valuable, once you have your starter, you're talking about getting some meaningful snaps because you don't want to put a guy in case he, gets banged up against Texas. I get the value of going out there and taking some snaps because it's in the stadium, but what about the value of having all of the first string reps going into your first start? And then what about the value of playing 3-4 quarters deep into the fourth quarter if it's your first start when you've got Texas the following week?
Yeah, Danny, that's why. Yeah, like I said, in a perfect world game, I would want our starters offensive. That we are in a battle in the first half. I would like to see that first quarter where people are shaking their head a little bit. I'm talking from as a coach. People are, well, what's going on? But we're in a battle, and our offensive, it has to stick together. And then in the second half, we get to hammer them, and we can bring in Davis, whoever the backup is, and we can rotate some second string guys. That I don't know if I'm answering your question, but yes, I totally understand the value in getting the continuity with the guys that are going to be the top. You don't want to be rotating so many guys where the quarterback isn't getting that continuity with receivers, and offensive line aren't getting that feel for each other in a game environment.
MGB 1234. Scar, give me a thought on his feedback here. He's got a score of 31-3 Michigan, with Orji going 13 of 19 for.
Hey, I love it, man. I tell you what, though, I see us scoring. I see us scoring over 31. 31 at least. I see it. I see that. But their offense ain't no joke. Okay, their quarterback is good. They got players. They went to Purdue last year. Now listen, we ain't Purdue, okay, but they flew 3 hours to on the grass at Purdue and beat them with the same quarterback. So, and that coach at Purdue ain't no joke defensively. He was at Illinois. We know the guy knows how to defend. And Fresno put like 30, 35 or 38 on him. Okay, again, that's not our defense, but they will not be intimidated. This quarterback is a confident kid, and again, our coaches put that film on, and people, Fresno bullshit, BS, man. You put that film on of Fresno, and you watch some of this kid throw. Our defensive players are going to be like, okay, let's go. Because Denny, many times as a coach, you have to kind of BS your team a little bit. Oh, they're this, they're that, they're great. This player's this, but you put the film on and they can see it. And they say, the coach don't have to BS me, man, how good these guys are. So I like Michigan scoring 31. Honestly, if we can keep this team under 13 points, it would be a great afternoon. Because I think they're really good on offense.
Yeah, my first thought of a score was Michigan somewhere in the 30s and Fresno somewhere in the low teens, without nailing down the score perfectly there yet. So that's where.
Let me tell you what they're going to do on defense, though. I guarantee you, this is what that defense is going to do against our offense. They are going to overcommit, and they are going to totally say, you know what, that quarterback, you better beat us. You better beat us. They are going to overcommit to stopping the run. Guaranteed. I know what I would do. A quarterback making his first start, 110,000. I'm coming. I ain't letting them hand the ball off to Donovan Edwards. I guarantee you that's their game plan. And we have to, there's other ways to stop some of that stuff. But yeah, we're going to have to throw it, and there's probably going to be some big play hits against that overcommitting defense, because that's what any defensive coach in the country would do. Make that first starter quarterback beat you. Andres, that's what I'd like to see. I want to see us tested. Scar said 17-6. I'd like to see us punched in the face a little bit, tested, challenged, stressed. All that stuff is going to pay dividends when we got to play Texas the following week.
All right. I think that the game plan is going to be smashed by Michigan, whether they're overpopulating the line or not. But yeah, you take some shots still. Whether we'll see if they're able to convert them and get some big plays out of it.
Yeah, Danny, let me tell you though, man, I don't care how good your run game is. If you don't have the pass threat over the top and people can put eight, 9 guys in the box, you ain't running the football. You still have to have a pass threat, man. You have to have other threats to keep a defense honest.
Well, I'm intrigued because I've watched a lot of Michigan football over the years that look like that the defense was playing the run, daring Michigan to throw, and Michigan just kept running it. They would run it, and they would keep running it no matter what was happening there. So, that's one of the interesting things, if Michigan will how quickly they would, go to a passing game if that's what the defense is giving.
It's going to be blend. Our coaches will look. They're going to look from the box and take what they give you. But I'm just telling you what I think they're not going to give you Donovan Edwards on some simple. They're going to do everything they can to take our zone power stuff away. Now, if we can hammer the ball against these guys and they're still in overcommitting defenses, then man, that's great news. But even in that situation, let's say we are able to run the hell out of the ball and we're defending them outstanding. We're defending them great. We still want to get our quarterback to have to throw the football many times Saturday in some stressful situations, that to get them ready for those situations, because Texas ain't going to be like Fresno's defense.
Okay, let's go to Michigan defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. He talked this week, and he had a few different things to say. Here's the questions to Wink. He asked what he hoped the tone of the defense that they will set on Saturday will be.
Yeah, people got to understand, man. I've watched a lot of film of this guy, and it's going to be McDonald and it's going to be Minter type stuff. He says you can rush 4, seem like an attacking style defense, rush 3. Just bring guys from different spots and tackling. Danny, game one, tackling is something that you don't always do a great job with because you haven't done a ton of it scrimmaging. Full, all go, take them down tackling. So, Wink is talking about tackling. But anyway, that's his thing. A lot of stuff. Give them different looks, but still try to bring 4.
Somebody asked me to describe Wink's defense, and I said I think it's going to be a lot like the last 2 years. And he was asking me about being blitz happy, and I said what I've seen from Michigan over the last 3 years is that they're going to send 4, 5, 6 guys. You don't know who it's going to be. It could be a safety, it could be a corner, it could be the front 4 with a linebacker. All 11 are capable of blitzing, and all 11 are capable of dropping back. That's what I've seen. And so, when it comes to Wink, maybe he'll want to bring the kitchen sink a little bit more. I was watching the fourth quarter last night of the Rose Bowl, and Michigan was bringing 6 guys. They looked blitz happy. They were all over Bill Rowe. They were sending everybody from all over the place. So it wasn't any kind of rush 4. So I'm just saying, as I hear you talk, that if Wink's sending 5, 6 guys, it's not like Michigan never blitzed last year. They've sent a lot of guys a lot of times from anywhere.
Yeah, it's what our package is. It's what our system is. It ain't changing. So,
what about that message that Wink wants to send about being great tacklers?
Yeah, you emphasize it. You get what you emphasize. So they probably do a great deal of tackling in practice, and you have to tackle. You play defense. You got to come off blocks. You got to tackle. So you work. Espo talked about hands. I used to talk about hands all the time, and you got to come off blocks. You got to tackle. Okay, here's his statement on what challenges offensive coordinators will have preparing for the defense. He talks about coordinators have a core belief system. So Fresno, we're going to get a guy that worked under Tedford. Tedford was a real good offensive coach, But he already talks about Michigan State, how he's been looking at Michigan State film. And this tells you what coaches do in the offseason, Denny. We've spent a lot of time on Michigan State already. So he's looking at these 12 games. That's what things you do in the offseason. And you make notes. You subtly get an idea of how you might devise your game plan. So then you refer back to it on game week. You follow me?
Yeah.
So notes you took in the summertime. So I just thought that was interesting that he already indicated that he was looking at Michigan State. And that's what I did, the same thing, man. You look, especially the top people that you got to stop. In the summertime, you're figuring out how you're going to stop these guys.
What about the communication that they'll be able to have now with the green dot? Somebody will be the
Wink talked about that as you scroll down there. What was interesting is he talked about it possibly being a linebacker. He says we've done both the safety and the Mike backer as a coach. So that's what he's saying he's done as a coach. Okay, ideally, so he wants to have a guy. Obviously, you can't have a defensive lineman. You got to have a guy who's on in a 2-point stance that can see the ball, see the offensive formations, and so Wink. And then he probably, it's interesting, those decisions as a defensive coach, you're going to get a feel for which kid does a better job of it. It's something I know as a former defensive coach, I liked to have a safety or linebacker make my adjustments based on formation, whatever the offense was doing. But sometimes you don't always have the most intelligent kid at certain positions that you would like to have. So I think Wink is in that same situation where, which guy he has do it depends on a lot of other factors other than, how good a tackler you are, how fast you are. So you follow me what I'm saying there, Danny?
Yeah, and if I had to throw a guess out, I would say that Makari Page probably knows the defense the best. But I think that Ernest Hausman, who will be there at middle linebacker, I've listened to him speak. He's a super sharp guy. You can tell just by listening to him. So I don't know how he communicates, with his teammates, being able to relay all of that. I mean, that's going to be part of it. So I would guess Hausman would have the green.
Yeah, Danny, I'm not even going to guess on it because I do know this as a coach. You don't know football intelligence until you coach these guys.
Fair enough. I think that's
I've had straight A kids that were lost.
Right.
And I've had special kids that were the sharpest dudes and never missed nothing. So I'll never buy any of that argument about what his football sense is until I get to coach the kid.
I think that's fair. I can recall last year of talking about one of the offensive linemen, and he was, I don't know if it was all academic, all Big Ten for a couple years in a row. And I said, well, yeah, he's pretty smart. And somebody that played the position said, well, there's football, there's, school smarts and there's football smarts. And, you need football smarts.
Yeah. Listen, Denny, normally a lot of times it correlates, but I'm just telling you, I've seen.
Oh, you're right.
I've seen as a coach that it doesn't always correlate. So, you have to size them up. And that's kind of how Wink was answering that question. He got asked that question about the green dot, and he basically said it's going to be, the guy that he thinks can handle it best and communicate the best.
Right. That's its value.
There might be some benefits that we've, Brian indicates that having a former NFL DC who's used to using the green dot, maybe there's some tips and some things that Wink has learned over the years.
All right. Before we watch the film, Sean says there were complaints about Wink's defense being too complicated last year.
I don't know where the complaints, what I would want to know is where were the complaints coming from? Were they coming from players? But again, this gets back to what you do as a coach. You have to understand the intelligence level of your defense. So you can't have them do a bunch of stuff if you keep getting mental mistakes. So I have to believe Wink is he understands how smart his players are, which guys and how much you can put on them. And I hope that we're not hearing that And we're not seeing mental mistakes because guys are confused. I know that's not how Wink was raised, man. I know, his bloodlines are, Jack Harbaugh and can't have mental mistakes, man.
Wink didn't have the Giants are devoid of talent, and Wink didn't have a good year last year. The Giants had a terrible year. That's why Wink's here. So, that's part of it. You can have a down year in the NFL personnel-wise when you're a coordinator. So, that's
let me just say this about our defense. I know the years that, Michigan, we've had years where you got the quarterback back, you've got the offensive line and maybe young guy on defense. So the offense has to carry. I think this is one of them years starting out. Our defense, our front five are back, Denny. They're back. I consider them all starters, the whole front five. How can you not call Grant a starter? I mean, and Josiah, I would call them guys starters. They're back. They and then you got the linebackers that have played a ton. So, Barnum was a all Big Ten player at Maryland, and Hausman has played a great deal of football. So we've got a ton of experience back in our defense, and that they have to really start the season out great. And the kick game, Denny, that's one thing I'm looking at too. But I think Wink's play calling, and I'm interested to see it though. We all are interested in seeing it. We'll break it down Monday after the game, when we look at film, and we'll look at, am I seeing a different, different philosophies that were really, stand out from McDonald and Minter.
Well, you mentioned film. How about we look at Fresno State?
Yeah, Danny, let me before we get on that. Okay, we'll look at the film, and then I got a few more things to.
Okay.
Danny, you got to move this down so I can get to the.
Oh, my bad.
Or is it on my end? I got to move this bulldog thing down so I can.
I'll take care of it. Give me a second. There you go.
Hang on. What is going on here? See, that's again, I guess that's why I wanted to do this. Yeah, here we go. Okay. First play. They got athletes. All right. So then you got to move. Yeah, you got to move our pictures up to the top or somewhere. There you go. What's going on? It's not playing.
Well, how about you, Scar? We take it down. And then we put it back up and then try it again. And then
it's not.
How about you exit out of it and then put it back up?
I don't know if I got to sign out or what.
How about you X out? If you want to give it a try, we can.
Yeah, then you go ahead and I'll try. Go. You want? Let me see. Okay, I got it playing now.
I figured you were going to.
So what did I do? I don't know what we did, but we're in training camp too.
Well, that's right. Just give me 1 second, Scar, for all the people that have joined late. I can tell them the value of being able to be up to speed on everything going on with Michigan football. And to be able to do that, you join the Maize and Blue Review by going to michigan.rivals.com. Get you prepared for the game, get you up to speed during the game, after the game, and then all season long, right on the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. All right.
Danny, listen, man. These guys have gone to USC, beaten USC. They've beaten UCLA in the past. They got athletes. They went to Purdue last year and beat Purdue. With they put 38 on that defensive coordinator that was at Illinois that, gave us problems.
Ryan Walter.
He's a good defensive coach. They put 38 on him. So they're going to have athletes. Our coaches are looking at this. This is their bowl game. This is their last game of the year last year. So they will have athletes. Picked up some guys from the portal. All right, here we go. This QB is good. He's a preseason all-conference pick guy. His name is Keene. He throws it and he runs it pretty good. He's an accurate passer. He's real confident in there. And, you can't sit around. And the things they're going to do, Denny, is they're going to spread us out, which makes it difficult to get pressure because, they isolate you. But, he's an accurate passer from what I've seen of this kid.
It's like Derek Carr.
Yeah, they'll play with they have a history of a lot of great quarterbacks. Now, the legendary coach, Tedford, was a real good offensive coach. He resigned like 2 months ago, and they replaced him with one of his assistants. But anyway, you think you're going to sit around. I like Wink's philosophy against this football team because we got to put pressure on Will Johnson to cover. Let's get some pressure. Let's isolate those guys maybe one-on-one if we got good players there, so we can get some pressure. We can't let this kid just pick us apart. Play some simple coverages like this team. So this kid's an accurate passer. Again, here's Ted. I got Tedford because he's the old coach at Fresno. I think he coached Aaron Rodgers in college, Denny.
That's correct.
Anyway, they're motioning out, just doing things to give you problems. Different level passing here. They got two guys kind of in the same route there, but just little things to give you trouble. But here's a tight window, and this kid finds it, man. He's an accurate passer. Can't let these clowns celebrate in Ann Arbor, man.
No, you don't want any salt and pepper shaker stuff.
So we got to, definitely take away this stuff here. The draw. Because they're not going to want to just line up in tight ends and try to beat Michigan. They're going to this is what you're going to see. 4 wides, tight end, 3 wides, draw, screen, and let this kid try to beat us. They're going to overcommit on defense, and they're going to try to spread us out on offense and let this quarterback have a day. A lot of passing in here. But the stuff you don't want to get happening is them run the football. And here's screen. This is some highlights from this game. I don't have the whole game, but this stuff can be a pain, especially when if they get their pass game going. Yes. They will have players. They will have athletes.
Look like the Chiefs.
Yeah. And this, Denny, we can never let these people do this. Pistol formation and just hand the ball off. That can never happen. We got to make them one-dimensional. You always start stopping the run. What's the down and distance? 2nd and 5. So you never, ever let them get this going. Those are some good-looking offensive linemen, man. Tight end blocking downfield, So if I'm a player, Denny, and I'm looking at this film again, they got my attention, man. Coach doesn't have to BS me. Kid throws an accurate ball on this screen. Jerry's going to cover some of their defense this Friday.
Nice.
Again, here's him. I got 2 more plays. Anyway, the kid's an accurate passer. Look at this. That's a JJ type pass. Tight window, over the linebacker, in between linebackers, in front of safeties. We got to get hands up, get pressured, knock them down a few times, control the football, and he's got decent feet too. So he's not a stiff. Not a stiff at all. That's the first thing I want to know as an edge player is this right here.
As if he can get to the edge. And he can.
Well, I mean, I got to know how fast he is if I'm going to have to contain him. Here they are on the goal line. They don't have no tight ends, fullback formations. They're going to be like this all game against us. So anyway, we got the kinks knocked out of our preseason training here too. So I think we're all done here, Denny. That's enough of that. And
well, Well, I've got 2 questions left for you, Scar, if you haven't covered everything that you wanted to say.
Yeah.
One of mine is just tell me something based on, what you're feeling that might not be talked about as much that you're thinking about for the opener, how things will unfold, just something you have on your mind. I could go first if you want.
Yeah. Go ahead, Denny.
I keep thinking about when Jair Hill, and every time the coaches has talked, and it was Sharon Moore again on Monday when he was asked about who's going to be the corner opposite of Will Johnson. There's no hesitation. There's no we're going to see about the competition. It's been Shug Hill the whole time. They call him Shug. They like him, and I think when I was listening to you say, hey, they might want to leave Will Johnson out there in an island. They might want to leave Jair Hill out on an island too. I think they might really have something. I'm talking about him being Will Johnson. I think they might have a really nice cornerback too in Jair Hill. And if they do that, of course, that enables you to do a lot of different things. You get 2 shut down corners, but I think that we'll see that from number 20 coming up on Saturday.
I think we're going to see defensively, we're going to see what we've done, multiple looks, multiple pressures. We have to look at this team. This kid's good. You can't just line up and play vanilla. You make them think, you confuse them. We athlete them, we scheme them, we create problems. And Denny, when you have good football players, you utilize them. You force them. I've had great defensive linemen or great edge players where I would overcommit. I had more defense away from them. I would slant the defense away from them because people don't want to run at them. So you say, okay, you don't want to run at my guy. I'm going to have an extra dude on that side of the ball. I'm going to have more guys over there. Or you don't want to throw at this guy? Okay, I'm going to roll the coverage away from him. I'm going to have extra coverage. So you can do those. That's what coaches do. You don't protect Will Johnson and coverage. Hell no. You try to force them to throw at him. Don't give him help. So anyway, I think I'm really confident what we're going to see on defense. Same stuff. I think our offensive. I think we're going to pound that football. And we're going to stick a little bit because they're going to, they're going to overcommit to stopping it. And, but Denny, I just look at it like this. Jerome Moore has done everything right since he got the job, in my opinion. He's done everything right. He's hired great coaches. He kept all of our good football players. And so the big question I had was, okay, what are we doing at quarterback? I don't know what they know about Alex Orji and Davis Warren and Tuttle, whatever. I don't know what the hell they know. So they didn't bring a guy in. They did not bring a quarterback in. They brought a couple other position guys in, linebacker, whatever. So he's done everything right as a coach. So I'm just going to have faith that because of what he's done in all the other areas of a leader, that he knows he's got guys that can play the quarterback position. So that's why I'm confident, because he's given me reason to be confident because he's made all the other right decisions. So, Denny, a couple quick thoughts on some of the Big Ten Network stuff. I heard the Michigan guys talk. Kenny Grant. Man, I love to play with those dudes. Mason Grant. You know what you see? You see Michigan guys that are trained by Harbaugh, Sharon Moore, humble team guys. I always say the same damn thing every year, but it isn't by accident. Those guys talk like that because that's how they're trained. That's how their coaches talk. You know who I'm glad we don't play is Maryland. We don't have them on the schedule. I heard Mike Loxley talking. I'm glad we don't play them. There's one of them teams we don't match up good sometimes. We had trouble defending them. I'm going to tell you a guy who's a hell of a football coach. I'm going on. You can comment at whenever you want. But this guy at Georgia Tech, he's an old offensive lineman at Georgia Tech. This guy can coach. He beat Florida State. I'm totally impressed with that guy as a coach. Was impressed with his football team. But the downside of what he did now, I don't know if we're going to have to be this kind of team, Denny. His quarterback ran the football 15 times against Florida State. 15 times. It was a big factor in that game. He completed some passes. Are we going to be that kind of team to beat Texas? Are we going to have to do that to beat a Texas? It's fine, long as the kid is, stays healthy. But I was really impressed with that coach at Georgia Tech, because he's a lot like what Michigan wants to do. He wants to pound that rock, man.
Brent Key is his name.
Yeah. So, I respected him. I like listening to the coaches and their theories and philosophies. I listen to Bielema. This is Bielema, what he emphasizes with his football team. You don't want to emphasize a bunch of stuff. A few things. Here's what he emphasizes in order: stop the run, or run the ball, stop the run, and cover kicks. So that's what he emphasizes as a football coach. Okay. This is what I emphasized. I told my team, this is what we're going to do. We're going to emphasize these things. Number one I had was secure the football, stop the run, and run the ball. I had him in different order of him, and then win the kicking game. I had the exact same stuff as him, only I had secure the football as number one. He doesn't even have it on his list. But and I'm going to leave on this last. Any other comments on what I said, Denny?
I like it. I have one additional question for you when you're done, though.
Okay, I got one question.
All right.
Do you think Michigan would be ranked like 9th in the country and 4th or 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten if Jim Harbaugh was our coach? Do you think that, Denny? I wonder about that. And I think it's overrated about motivation. I don't think it motivates anything, but I just wondered.
I think they would likely be a little bit higher up. The dynamic could change on the team, because if Harbaugh didn't leave, he may have been in the portal a lot earlier, and he may have gone after a quarterback, and it may have looked a little different. So you don't know from that standpoint. But if it was just Harbaugh and he stayed around, I think Michigan certainly would be higher. And look, in the game, the most important thing in college football is the head coach.
Yeah. Well, I have a great deal of confidence in what Sharon has done so far, and
sure. I mean, he's he'll be, he's got all of the tools there, but it's tough to replace Jim Harbaugh. And look how long it took Harbaugh to get things right. And there's so many factors and everything else that's going on, but Harbaugh with Saban leaving, he would have been the best coach in college football. I think everybody would have agreed with that. Especially the way Dabo's approaching his roster management now, not looking into the transfer portal. So having the best coach in the country coming off a national championship, I think Michigan would have been voted higher. I like the polls. I like talking about them. People get all worked up about it. Let's not have the polls until 2 months into the season. Say, all right, Michigan beats Texas, they'll be up where they're supposed to be. So,
because I guarantee you this, and that's the point I was going to make. The Texas coach, when he looks at Michigan, and he looks, okay, if Michigan with Sharon Moore, Michigan with Harbaugh, it's the same damn problems. It's the same problems. Josiah Stewart's still over there, and that great defense. Anyway, that's just me as a coach. I would say it's the same problem beating that Michigan team. So, anyway,
all right, I got
it up, Denny.
My final question for you. And by the way, I liked hearing TJ Guy on Monday. He was asked about Josiah Stewart, and he mentioned how he thought he was one of the best athletes on the team. But you know what he said, Scar? You'd like it. He said, Josiah Stewart, what all of the teammates and the defense likes about him is he practices harder than anybody else. He's got the most talent. He's got as much talent as anybody, but he practices harder than anyone else. You love hearing about it. You like hearing things like that. It's like you like hearing the guy's the first one there and the last one to leave. You asked somebody about TJ. I asked TJ Guy about Josiah Stewart. He said he's an incredible athlete, one of the most incredible athletes on the team, and he's the hardest worker in practice. So those are good things you like to hear. My question to you is, Scar, if you're approaching this season and you're thinking about gambling, do you have any advice for people that like to play the game? So do you manage your bankroll? Do you go big early and then try to, nibble a little bit? Are you jumping in, with 2 feet on this Labor Day weekend and just firing off parlays all over the place? What's your advice, Scar?
Denny, listen, if you really know football and understand football and you bet based on matchups and knowledge, the mistake I make every year is I bet early in the year when I don't know what the hell the team has. Right?
Yeah.
As a high school coach, you think you got your schedule and you think you're facing this, this, and this, and then you get, I don't know what different than what you thought. Same thing with college. So I'm my advice to guys that understand football is wait a couple weeks. Let's see what the heck these teams really have. And, I guess early on, maybe teams that have to travel a long way, Minnesota's at home against North Carolina, that might be a good bet. He's got a quarterback with a lot of experience. Minnesota's a tough place to play. Denny, but in general, my advice is if you're betting on an understanding of football, then you got to watch some games.
Yeah. You
got to watch people play. We just don't have there's a bunch of questions we don't have. So just got here and he picked none. I could make some picks, but they're not very they're not very well educated picks. Till we look at some film, we look at what the heck these other guys have. How good are their quarterbacks? How good are their defenses? What kind of run game? And we don't know Michigan good enough right now. So
I think it's good advice, and I wish I would follow that myself. My worst thing is that I like to bet just to bet. If I took a step back, there's probably really only 5 to 10 games that I feel really good about all year long. From now to January, there's probably only 10 games that I feel really good about. And I would think that 7 of those would hit. I mean, I'd feel really good about certainly 6. That's not going to happen every time. But can I really wait all year long and let a week or 2 go by and just play these big games?
Well, Danny, you're not betting like a smart guy, man.
I can't. I bet to bet, and that's
that's not you. Listen, one of the first things you got to really understand if you're betting to win money, okay? And just because it's Saturday, it doesn't mean you got to bet. If the bookie hasn't made a mistake, I'm looking at my lines. I'm waiting for that bookie to make a mistake. That's what we're all waiting for, people that know football. You're waiting for him to make a mistake on a line. Something you're like, man, that ain't right. That should be a pick 'em, not -3.5 or whatever. So just because it's Saturday don't mean you got to bet. You got to have discipline, man. It's just like anything else. You got to have discipline.
I'm doing it for entertainment purposes.
Well, then you're on a different program.
Yeah, I mean, there's money behind it, but it's.
Yeah, I get it. But if you're betting $10, then go ahead, make a pick. Who cares? But if you're putting big money down,
big money.
You want to have answers.
Yeah, well, that's good advice, Scar.
Corey thinks
just because it's Saturday.
Yeah, Corey, these kids that are playing at Michigan right now, they got so many reasons to play as hard as they can. Every day in practice, they're competing for jobs. They're competing for playing time. They're competing for disrespect. They're in front of 110,000 people, national television. You're going to get everything everybody has, man. It's just that simple.
I got a parting word. I saw something I was watching. I think it's NFL Network, and they were showing the Chargers, and the guys were like, "Yeah, they're going to be running the ball," and then they stopped it, and one of the guys were like, "They look like they got 6-7 offensive linemen out there. I think we know what they're going to try to do." It's like, oh, really? Harbaugh's going to, come out with 6-7 offensive linemen?
Hey, I'd like to see that. That's Denny. That's the things about the first game of the year, which is really, really tough for a coach. It's really tough for a defensive coach. Okay, but you guarantee, if you're the Fresno coach, you have to prepare for the 7 offensive lineman package because we might see it. I hope we do. I hope we do see 7 offensive linemen. We got so much depth there. Make them adjust to all these different formations. 7 offensive linemen, empty, all the different shifting and stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to see Link and Gentry.
Yeah, I think our linebackers are going to – he's got a comment on Barham. They're going to be I think our linebacker play, we've got 2 big physical kids. I don't know that we're going to be as good in coverage. Barrett was real good in coverage. And, Denny, let me say this one note. I also want to point out with our offensive linemen, our guards, Preeb and Gio El-Hadi, okay? those guys, we had Keegan and Zinter the last couple of years. Keegan and Zinter, those are both 320-pound guys. Average pullers, average guys to pull and lead out. I think we're going to do more pulling with our guards than we had in the past because these two guys are a little more athletic. They might not be as big and stout, on zone play, inside stuff. But I think, and that's what you do as a coach. Okay, if I got athletic guards, I'm going to do more things to pull them, traps, lead them on powers, whatever. But I think we're going to see more of that from the guards.
Something to look for. All right, Scar, great job. Can't wait to talk with you on Monday.
Fired up, Denny. Go Blue.
Here he is, Jim Scarcelli. Smash the like button and subscribe as we try to push for 5,000. I saw somebody threw us $5. That's going to go in the kitty for the big party that I'm going to throw once we get to 5K. So we got $5 down. We're ready to go. So we'll see you later on this week, of course, after the game, and then with Scar on Monday with some film analysis. All right. Smash that like button and